Hi, I'm Project Dan, and welcome to another edition of the Weekly Pulls, where I talk about what's worth reading, what you should catch in the trades, and what should never, ever be read or thought of again for as long as we both shall live. I bought enough books to build a house this week, so let's not waste another minute. Starting with the ongoing DC 52, we have Batwoman number 3. Now, I keep hearing people say how great this book is, and yes, the art is fantastic, but I'm just not into the story or the characters right now. In fact, I'm not really sure I understand what's even happening or what's motivating anyone. Batwoman gets pulled into the river by some weird lady of the lake from hell. She's being accused of a crime she didn't commit. She's on the outs with her partner for some reason. And she missed a date with her lady love, but that's okay because we get together at the end anyway. What is this? I don't get it. Farewell, best start of the new 52. You're like a really pretty girl who wants me to love her, but keeps punching me in the face for no reason. Until your story approaches sense, I'm breaking up with you. Demon Knights number 3. Madame Xanadu has surrendered untold centuries off of her life to erect a magic shield to protect her allies and the town they're trapped in from hordes of enemies, including mechanical dragons. Yep, mechanical dragons. It's pretty rad. But what's really rad is how it's not the external enemies that they need to worry about. It's the enemies within. Etrigan gets so pissed that he burns a friar's face right off, a wound which, by the way, will eventually kill the guy and drag his still screaming soul into hell. And that's not even the worst thing that happens. Wait until you see what Vandal Savage gets up to. It's just bonkers. I love it. Don't wait for the trades, buy it now, and make sure this book keeps coming out. Suicide Squad number 3. I keep promising myself I'll stop buying this book, but I keep wondering if it's going to get better. Somewhere in here is a promising story, but it keeps getting screwed up by mischaracterization of Harley, and the young, thin Amanda Waller thing just makes me crazy. The issue continues that trend. There are these fun Harley moments, like when she brings a fight to a standstill by filling a room with gas so no one can fire their weapons without blowing everything sky high. That's fun, that's cool. And she gets really close to being a character I can recognize, but then she starts grinding against Deadshot, and suddenly I could, feel my eyes burning a hole through the page because I'm so filled with rage. Deadshot is an interesting character. El Diablo, interesting character. If we could just get the rest of the book up to snuff, it would actually be worth reading. I'm hanging in there, but you shouldn't. If anything changes, I'll let you know. Batman and Robin number 3. Now we're talking. It's all about Damian this week. Everyone's trying to manipulate him, and the whole affair is framed by a game of chess with Alfred, which, by the way, is awesome. I love you, Alfred. Anyway, Batman is chasing after Morgan, aka Nobody, but doesn't trust Damian to go along with him because Damian's been acting too erratically. Or, does Bruce really want his son to follow, but doesn't want him to know? See, that's what I like about this book. It's hard to say to keep things ambiguous. Anyway, Damian being Damian, he ignores his pop, goes off anyway, spoiling for a fight, and he finds one pretty quickly. He beats the ever-loving crap out of a couple of thief-turned-wannabe murderers when Morgan shows up and starts telling Damian that killing is okay. That men like these deserve to die. We know Damian is conflicted about this, and we can see him starting to emotionally unravel when Batman shows up to save the day. Except, he doesn't save the day, and now they're both screwed. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm excited to see it. This book is smart, and it treats its readers like they're smart too. And I like that. I like not being treated like an idiot by my comics. Pick it up, especially if you like complex father-son stuff. Frankenstein and the Agents of S.H.A.D.E number 3. Frankie and the gang are fighting an entire planet of monsters. In fact, they're basically fighting the planet itself as it hurtles its way towards Earth, threatening the end of days. That's the plot. That's the book you're in for, and it's a Jim Dandy, I'll tell you what. I talked about how Jeff Lemire has been killing it with Animal Man last week, and he's doing a hell of a job with this one too. The difference is that while Animal Man is weaving this complex narrative about the nature of man and what it means to be a husband, a father, and a superhero, this book is just fun. All the characters have a wit and a charm to them, and I especially love the tension between Frank and his ex-wife. Like with Demon Knights, I urge you to buy this book to make sure it doesn't get canceled. Seriously, I want to keep reading it. Forever. Or until Jeff Lemire gets tired of writing it anyway. And we finished DC with Batgirl number 3. I saved the best for last. Everything about this book is awesome. Nightwing shows up, and all the tension between Dick and Babs is just, it's beautiful. And the stuff with the villain Mirror, it is really amping up. And here's the best part. Gail Simone, absolute genius. Follow me on this. Mirror is a hero turned terrorist because his family died unjustly, and now everyone who survived miraculously is on his hit list, including Babs as herself and as Batgirl. But what's really happening is that he's holding up a mirror, to show Babs how she really feels. She doesn't think she deserves the miracle of being able to walk again, because so many other people won't get that chance. She feels so bad about it that she's actually sabotaging herself. On a character level, that makes so much sense. Now I get why she's being Batgirl again. She wants to throw herself into harm's way. She wants to suffer. She thinks she deserves to be in the chair. And on a metatextual level, it makes sense too. People were angry about her getting her legs back, and with good reason. DC took away one of the only disabled heroes ever. Except now, they kinda didn't. Because mentally, she's still in the chair. It's just, Gail Simone, I love you. I love you so much. Pick up this book, go to a con, find Gail Simone, and if she says it's okay, just hug the crap out of her. We're going to switch to 2 ongoing books I'm reading before my risk books. So let's dive right in with Ultimate Spider-Man number 4. Now, I don't read Marvel books usually. Not to say that there aren't a ton of good ones, I'm just not as familiar with those characters as I am with the DC ones. Lucky for me, there's a new Spider-Man, and he is engaging and identifiable, right? Okay, so in this issue, Miles Morales finally starts taking his first furtive steps towards becoming Spider-Man following Peter's death. And he is not great at it, but that's okay. He shouldn't be. There's a cool moment between he and Gwen Stacy, and there's a nice focus on all the logistical elements of having a double identity. Now, some people feel like this book is moving too slowly, but I like that we're spending all this time hearing what's inside Miles' head, understanding why he needs to be Spider-Man, and if you're like me, and usually keep to DC, I would advise making an exception for this book. It's worth your time. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 9, Number 3. You might have heard me mention how good Angel and Faith has been, and it has been, but I've been a little underwhelmed with the Buffy books by comparison. Thankfully, this issue is really solid. It's the best one by far, and what I like about it is there's this seamless blending of new characters with old. So, Severin, for example, is a new character who can suck the energy out of vampires until they're dead, and the more energy he takes, the stronger he becomes. He's a vampire of vampires, and that's pretty cool. There's also this thing happening where vampires can't create other vampires the way they used to. Well, they can try, but instead of a vampire, what they wind up with is this sort of feral zombie-like thing. Zompire, if you will, which is actually what Xander ends up coining those weird creatures. And that's the other thing to like about this book. The characters you watched on the show actually sound and act like themselves in this issue. And the comics have been very hit or miss on that point, but in this one, it's all hit. Plus, Steve Morris's covers are fantastic. Pick it up. Moving on from tried and true, here are my risk books for the week, and there's a lot of them. But we'll begin with House of Night number 1. Okay, So I went to this Dark Horse panel at New York Comic Con, and they made a big deal about how there were some comics that they were releasing that Buffy fans should try out, and amongst them was House of Night, a comic based on a popular series of books that I have never read before. The comic itself is pretty solid. The characters and concepts are introduced to the new readers very easily, and I totally get why they'd think Buffy fans would dig it. It's all about young vampires trying to make their way in a harsh human society, and the main characters are all teenagers. There's also this sort of vampire academy that they all attend, so it's basically Buffy meets Harry Potter. Also, the book costs $1, and it's an actual full-length comic on good paper stock. Everyone should buy this book, because why not? Even if you don't like it, you probably know someone who will. And then look at that. You've got yourself a new comics reader. Everybody wins. Hellraiser Masterpieces #1. So, this is a collection of 3 old Hellraiser shorts. I picked it up because I liked the series, and I thought Dan Brereton's cover was really cool. As for the 3 stories contained within, well, I love the first one. It's a perfect Hellraiser story that twists around in a really creepy way and shows us how horrible human beings can be. Plus, Bernie Wrightson's art is just perfect for the subject matter. Really creepy. The other 2 stories are okay. One involves children in hell, and that's messed up. I'm on the fence here. If you like Hellraiser and horror stuff in general, I'd say give it a shot. But if that's not your thing, I'd skip it. Anonymous #1. There's only one Top Cow pilot season book this week, and that's a shame because this one's not very good. It's the story of a Blackwater type after he was finished torturing Iraqis and back on US soil. Basically, he's a tortured vigilante who doles out justice even though he knows he's a bad guy himself. The art is the biggest problem here for me. It's muddy, and it's hard to tell who's who. Skip it. Marvel's Point 1. Okay. So I mentioned before that I don't typically read Marvel books, but I'd heard some rumblings about how Marvel is going to perform something of a relaunch, much in the way that DC just did, and that Point 1 was going to be a part of that. Well, I guess it could be. Maybe it's like Flashpoint somehow, where it begins crafting a story that will somehow lead to the relaunch. All I know is I couldn't follow it as someone who's trying to get back into Marvel books, and that's the only way I can judge it. If the goal is to get new Marvel readers, then this fails completely. I invite current Marvel readers to talk about this one and tell me what it is I missed, but as of now, I'm sticking with DC and all my various other sundries, of which I have in great abundance. And we finish on My Faith in Frankie. Did you ever have one of those moments where there's a book or a movie or a TV show and you say to your friend standing next to you, "Oh, I've never seen that before," and your friend goes, "Aah!" You know what I'm talking about? Well, that's what happened to me with My Faith in Frankie, which came out this week as part of the Vertigo Resurrected series. Alright, so this is the story of Frankie and her own personal god, Jerevan, and the shenanigans they get into. What I like about it is it's this sort of mashup between traditional comic book storytelling and traditional comic strip storytelling. So, one minute it's all big splash panels, and the next it's Calvin and Hobbes. And it really works. The characters are fun, the concept is original, it's cute. And I don't mean that like, oh, it's cute, I guess, whatever, it's for chicks. I mean that situation, like, will get resolved in this very unexpected way, and you'll go, oh, that's cute. And then serotonin will pump through your veins, and you'll feel all happy and crap. It's $8, which is kind of an investment, but it's also Mike Carey, and he's writing the unwritten, and that book is pretty aces. So, don't be stupid. Buy it, because he's a good writer, and serotonin, and because I said so. Cool. And that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and keep reading.